What if Warren Buffett sat down with you right now and walked you through every decision, every mistake, and every rule that took him from $114 in savings to $140 billion? That's exactly what we're doing today. I've studied decades of his shareholder letters, interviews, and speeches, and I've pieced together his story the way he tells it. This is Warren Buffett's investing journey. And by the end of this video, you'll have the exact same blueprint he used. Let's go and learn from the master.
I want to tell you something that happened to me when I was 11 years old, because I think about it almost every single day, even now. It was 1941. I walked into a brokerage office in Omaha with my sister Doris. I had $114 I'd saved up selling chewing gum door to door, collecting bottle caps, delivering newspapers in the bitter Nebraska cold. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. I bought 3 shares of City Service Preferred at $38 a share. That was everything I had in the world. Within a few weeks, the stock dropped to $27. I watched that number every day. My stomach turned every time I looked at it. Doris had trusted me. She'd put her own money in because I told her it was a good idea. And here we were watching it fall. I held on, not because I was brave. Honestly, I was terrified. But I held on. The stock climbed back to $40. I sold. I made a $6 profit. I exhaled. I thought, that's it. That's investing. Then I watched City Service keep climbing past $100, past $150, all the way to $200 a share. I could have made over $400 on that $114. Instead, I made $6 and change, and I learned a lesson that shaped the next 80 years of my life. Rule 1, never lose money and never sell too soon out of fear. People always laugh when I say rule #1, never lose money. Rule #2, never forget rule #1. They think it's a joke. It's not. What I learned at 11 years old wasn't just about city service. It was about what fear does to your decision making. When that stock dropped to $27, I felt the loss as if it were permanent. My brain told me to sell to stop the bleeding. That impulse to act, to do something, to make the pain stop is the single greatest enemy of wealth building I have ever seen. And I've seen it destroy more investors than any market crash ever has. The math of losses is brutal. If you lose 50% of your money, you need to gain 100% just to get back to zero. So protecting what you have isn't timid. It's the most aggressive thing you can do. Rule 2, buy businesses, not stocks. Own them, don't rent them. In 1988, I spent $1.02 billion buying Coca-Cola stock. My partners at Berkshire thought I had lost my mind. Coke wasn't a technology company. It wasn't disrupting anything. It sold sugar water. But I didn't buy a stock. I bought a business. And I asked myself the same question I always ask. In 20 years, will people still want this product? In 50 years, I thought about a 6-year-old kid in Atlanta buying his first bottle of Coke in 1886. I thought about soldiers in World War II requesting Coke be shipped to the front lines. I thought about the fact that in more than 200 countries around the world, people wake up and reach for a Coca-Cola the same way they reach for oxygen. That's not a product. That's a habit. That's a religion. Today, that original $1.02 billion investment sends Berkshire Hathaway over $700 million in dividends every single year. We haven't sold a share. We just collect the checks. That's what it means to own a business instead of renting a stock. Rule 3, never invest in something you don't understand. I want to tell you about the year 1999 because people still bring it up to embarrass me. The dot-com bubble was at full roar. Every week, there was a new internet company making millionaires overnight. My friends were buying. Journalists were mocking me. A Business Week cover story basically said I was finished, that the old man from Omaha had missed the new economy. I'll be honest with you, there was pressure. There were moments where I second-guessed myself. I'm human. But I kept coming back to one question I ask about every investment. Can I explain how this company makes money in 10 years with certainty? For most of those internet companies in 1999, the answer was no. Their entire business model was built on the assumption that someone else would eventually figure out how to make money from the traffic. That's not investing. That's hope. Then 2000 arrived. Then 2001. The NASDAQ lost 80% of its value. Trillions of dollars vanished. XBK tag fee AAXpets.com. Webvan.com, gone. Berkshire gained value during those years. I don't say that to brag. I say it because the lesson is simple and timeless. If you cannot explain how a business makes money clearly, specifically, without hand-waving, then you don't own that business. You're gambling with it, and the house always wins. Rule 4, find the moat, protect the castle. My partner Charlie Munger taught me to think about businesses in terms of castles and moats. The business is the castle. The moat is what protects it from competitors. A wide moat means competitors can't easily steal your customers, no matter how much money they throw at the problem. A narrow moat means you're always one competitor away from irrelevance. Let me give you a small example. In 1972, I paid $25 million for a chocolate company in California called See's Candies. My advisors thought I overpaid. At the time, See's earned about $4 million a year. By conventional math, I paid too much. But I saw something nobody else was pricing in. See's Candies didn't just sell chocolate. They sold memory. They sold the feeling of giving someone you love a red box tied with a bow. 3 generations of Californians had given See's as a gift. You couldn't buy that loyalty. You couldn't replicate it. That was the moat. Over the decades since 1972, See's Candies has paid Berkshire Hathaway over $2 billion in pre-tax earnings from a $25 million investment. Always ask, what stops a well-funded competitor from walking in tomorrow and taking this company's customers? If the answer is nothing much, walk away. Rule 5, let time do the work. Compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. I am 93 years old, and I need you to understand something that took me decades to fully appreciate in my bones, not just in my head. More than 99% of my net worth was built after my 50th birthday. Let that land for a moment. I was a millionaire at 30. I had $25 million by 45. But the vast majority of everything I have, billions upon billions of dollars, came from letting the same investments sit and compound quietly while the world moved on around them. I bought my first share at 11. I had over 70 years of compounding working in my favor. Time wasn't a factor in my success. Time was the strategy. $10,000 invested at 10% per year becomes $174,000 in 30 years. Not because of genius, not because of luck, because of patience and arithmetic. The tragedy I've watched play out over 8 decades is this. Most people interrupt the compounding. They sell when markets fall. They buy something shinier. They let emotion override the math, and they wake up at 65 wondering why they don't have more. Rule 6, be greedy when others are fearful. October 2008, I want to take you back there because it's important. Lehman Brothers had just collapsed. The entire global financial system was on the edge. People were pulling money out of everything. Banks were teetering. Smart people, serious, experienced investors were certain we were heading for a second Great Depression. I wrote an op-ed for the New York Times. The headline was, "Buy American, I Am." While the world was selling, I was deploying billions. Goldman Sachs, General Electric, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I bought preferred shares in Goldman at a 10% dividend, terms I never could have gotten in normal times. I bought because I knew one thing that fear had temporarily hidden from everyone else. America wasn't ending. It had never ended, not after 1929, not after Pearl Harbor, not after the Kennedy assassination or Vietnam or the dot-com crash or 9/11s. Every single time the country faced what felt like an unsurvivable moment, it survived. And the stock market eventually reflected that. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. I know that sounds simple. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, repeatedly over 80 years, because fear is contagious. When the people around you are panicking, every instinct in your body says, follow them. Get out, save yourself, resist that instinct. That's where fortunes are made. Rule 7, start now. Start with whatever you have. I want to finish where I started. In that brokerage office in 1941, a boy with $114 in an envelope. Before I bought those city service shares, I had spent years preparing. I'd read every book in the Omaha Public Library that had the word finance in the title, some of them twice. I had studied companies the way most kids study baseball cards. I was 11 years old, and I already understood the basic mathematics of compounding, of value, of patience. But the thing that changed everything wasn't the reading, it was the doing. The moment I handed over that $114, everything I had, and became an owner of a real business, I understood investing in a way no book could teach me. I had skin in the game. I felt the drops. I felt the climbs. I learned what fear actually feels like when real money is at stake. And then I learned when city service rocketed to $200 and I was sitting on my $6 profit, what regret feels like when you let fear make the decision for you. You don't need $114,000 to start. You don't need to be 11 years old. You need to start with whatever you have, wherever you are today. The compounding clock doesn't start until you do. Every year you wait is a year of compounding you've given away permanently. You can't get it back. I know because I have 83 years of evidence. Start now. Buy something real. Understand what you own. Hold it with patience. Let time work. That's it. That's all of it. That's how $114 gave me the ability to make $140 billion and taught me these 7 golden rules of investing.
The master has spoken. The takeaway from today is wealth isn't built in a moment. It's built in the decision you make this week to start and every week after that to stay the course. So here's your action for this week. Open a brokerage account if you don't have one. Pick one business you understand and genuinely believe in and make your first investment no matter how small. That's how the Oracle of Omaha started. That's how you start too. If this video gave you some real value, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.